Look at tomorrow's back. Bringing you our NFL Week 1 takeaways. So today I'll be going through a couple games I watched in full and a couple buy-sell targets from other games I have as well. Before we do, don't forget to go down there and hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps. We are that close to our 100 subscriber mark. The first game I've got today is the 49ers versus the Chicago Bears. And boy, do I mean shit, because that team came out there bent over with their pants down, just waiting to be clapped. But it was a really awkward exchange when they turned around and they were ass to ass with the 49ers. Let's get right into the fantasy value of today. So let's start with Trey Lance. He went 13 for 28, 164 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. And what I like to see, 13 on the ground for 54 yards. Deebo went 8 rushes for 52 yards and a tutty. 2 for 14 in the air. Now, it's nice to see that Deebo's back in that running back role. I'm sure we're all wondering, can he keep taking that? There's no way they can use Deebo like that. They're doing it again, so it's really good to see fantasy-wise. He only scored like 10 points in a PPR league. Trey Lance was under 10, underwhelming. What he did do is show us that RPO style and how Shanahan is trying to use him in a different way. He's really trying to use his legs, which is awesome to see, which gives him that base floor, which is why Deebo and Trey Lance are easily one of the biggest trade targets for. Combining for under 20 points together, a lot of people drafted them as a stack. So this is a good, both these players, if you can get them in one trade or if you have to do multiple, these are the perfect wide receiver and QB trade targets to go for. Everyone was being used a little different in the rushing game as well because Elijah Mitchell got hurt in the second half, I believe. Let's hope he's okay. If not, it's more wheels up for these guys and their rushing abilities. Let's go on to the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields went 8 for 17, 121 and 2-1. And one of those touchdowns was just a broken play where the defense lost coverage. This whole team is just hands off. Montgomery, I don't care, even if he's a small add-on. There's nothing. I'd rather have a different piece than him in my lineup. I get he rushed the ball 22 times, but in this putrid offense, you can't see him getting many TDs. You also see his backup, Khalil Herbert, which was well talked about in camp, to get all these more reps, more rushes. And you didn't know if that was hype, coach speak, or what, but he was heavily utilized as well, and he could slowly get more utilized in this offense, making him even just more of a guy I don't want to roster because I don't want to stick him in my lineup. Darnell Mooney, 1 for 9, their top wide receiver. It is so damn hard for him to actually do anything when it's so easy to double cover him. There's no one else. Byron, Pringle. I mean, there is no one else. Dante, Pettis, they're nothing. So this whole team is pretty much hands off, including Mooney. I don't want any of them in my lineup. I'm dropping Fields if I had that hopeful, took him in the last round kind of thing. Next game we got is the Chargers versus my Raiders. So break down the game today. We had Justin Herbert doing Justin Herbert-like things. The guy is one of the greatest young QBs to ever exist. I don't need to dive into him much. The next guy we'll go is Keenan Allen. He had 66 yards before, I believe, early second quarter, and was just looking like Herbert's number one guy. Williams wasn't even a factor. If Keenan is healthy, he will be a top 12 godlike wide receiver. I mean, he came out on fire. Next guy from the LA Chargers is Mike Williams, who just had a dud. I believe he had 2 for 14. Just a terrible game. The reason why I personally was drafting Keenan Allen ahead of Mike Williams was because of not only the stability of Keenan Allen, always having 1,100 plus yards, Keenan Allen still had high upside. He could get more touchdowns. Now with Mike Williams, is he a bust or is he a buy with this 2 for 14? I am on the definite go buy this guy. He's going to have these games. He did last year where he came on fire at the beginning of the year, was like the number one wide receiver for the first couple games, then just had a bunch of duds. Then near the end of the season, started coming back and doing great things at the end of the season. So you have to expect this from Mike Williams. But if his draft, he was drafted in the 4th round, so that price has dropped at all, I am easily going to buy in on Mike Williams at that price. So that's it for the Chargers. Gus Everett did look good. Definitely, if he's on your waivers, pick him up. The next team, let's go to the Raiders. Adams, if anyone had them out of their top 5, which I said was ridiculous before, this is why you don't. The guy is one of the best route runners in the NFL and will succeed with almost any quarterback. And there's not much else to say. He's a top 5 guy and should always be treated like that. Just a reception hog. He made Hunter Renfrow go 3 receptions for 30-something yards. It was an atrocious game from Renfrow, but this is why I wasn't drafting Renfrow a ton. It's because when Adams is there, he'll open up the middle for Waller, and Renfrow will get a lot of targets stolen. Renfrow had that 1,000-yard season out of necessity. He's just this slot wide receiver. He isn't this high upside guy, and his floor really went down when Adams came here. With Darren Waller, like I said before, the open is you can watch during the game where he'll go right up the middle and it's completely open because Adams is getting double covered. Renfrow's getting respectable coverage. He went 4 for 79 with 0 touchdowns. This is the best thing out. It doesn't send, when you get a touchdown, it sends that buzzers out to your league's mate. Oh, you got a touchdown. I need this guy. He didn't get that, but he still had 6 targets, 4 for 80, and that middle was just open for him. He's going to go forward and probably have a 1,100 plus yard season. You're talking 12 PPR points, 10 half PPR points. No one's too excited about that. So he's an easier guy to go and buy, where he should still give you that elite tight end upside, which is hard to find. So with Josh Jacobs, it wasn't Zamir White, guys. It wasn't Zeus. It was Brandon Bolden that was taking some work away. Josh Jacobs was the guy, but he didn't get many opportunities with how game script went, with the Raiders being down so often. But Josh McDaniels was using him more than he used any other running back game snap wise this entire season, his entire career. So he was the main guy, which you don't usually see that from a McDaniels system. But you don't see a guy like Josh Jacobs in McDaniels systems in the past, where Josh Jacobs is that elite guy. So I think he is an interesting buy low, depending on, what his price is. But I would definitely not be looking to sell him after this performance, in either holding or buying him low. And now we have some buy, sell, trade targets. So let's get her going. On the first, it is sell Miles Sanders. I repeat, sell Miles Sanders. So he ran the ball for 13 and 96 yards. That is Miles Sanders-esque, always doing great with the workload he gets. He also had 1 touchdown on the ground. You know what that does? That rings the buzzers. It rings the buzzers to your league mates. They all know now, oh, he scored a touchdown. I need him. He had over 100 all-purpose yards with 2 receptions. I need him. Over 100 yards, touchdown, sell Miles Sanders. You want to know why? Because it took 4 rushing touchdowns for him to get 1. Sanders had 1. Hurts had 1, Kenneth Gainwell had 1, and Boston Scott had 1. So if you're telling me I get 25% of the total touchdowns for rushing, that's about what I'm going to get. That's about what Philly's always been with it. Getting 1 touchdown for Sanders is shocking, actually. He's just an easy sell for that and that alone. You cannot expect him to keep getting this much touchdowns, and he's not getting the workload he should for as good as a running back he is. And after a 100-yard performance and a touchdown, there's some likely good buys you have for that. All right, so before I get on to my next guy, if you loved any of my takes, make sure you put a ring on it and hit that bell. And if you hated my takes and you think I'm a dumbass and should suck donkey dick, tell me in the comment section. I'll take it. All right, so the next guy, Saquon Barkley. Now, I don't know if you can get him after what he just did. 18 for 164 and 1 and 6 for 30 in the air. Barkley's back, baby, and I'm stoked about it. It's been my favorite running back prospect ever. He's just an incredibly awesome athlete to watch when healthy, and he really looks healthy now. I don't know if you can get him right now as a top 5 back. If you can kind of make a deal towards it, include an AJ Brown in that deal and a mediocre running back, something like that. He's going to do great things this season, and he could do what he did his rookie year. There's little talk about, we all know how good he is, and to see that is just awesome. But like I said, I don't know if you really can get this guy anymore. It could be too late. AJ Brown, possible sell candidate, because I think he is, and here's why. This is, again, you had 5 offensive touchdowns in this entire game, and they were all on the ground. Because this team last year was the best rushing team in the NFL, and they're looking to do the same. They're not looking in the end zone to throw it when they have so many different run plays they can scheme up, and with Hurts being able to steal so many rushing touchdowns. So he had 10 for 150, which is awesome. The reason why I say sell, obviously don't go sell him for dust. If you can get a guy like Mixon, who had no touchdowns, but he had 27 rush attempts, 82 yards on the ground, 7 receptions, which is awesome, in 63. If you can kind of work a deal, a 2-for-2 with AJ Brown and to get Joe Mixon, that would be an awesome thing to do. That would be, because the touchdowns aren't going to probably come AJ Brown's way a lot unless he breaks one deep. If you can get a top 12 running back for AJ Brown, it's a no-brainer for me, where you can get more stability and more touchdown upside. Najee Harris. I hope the dude's okay. I've heard everything from it looks like a Liz Frank injury to a high ankle roll was the last reports I saw, which would be awesome if it was just a high ankle roll. Now, the only reason why I'm speaking about this is because if he's out a couple weeks and you got a good team, 1, go trade for him. If it's just a couple weeks. And 2, if he's out for a long season, I just want to say it was Jaylene Warren who was the first man up right when his injury came about, and he was stuck there in the locker room. Jaylene Warren was the first to come out. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of fab for Jaylene Warren, even if he's out a long time, because I think they'll use a more committee running back approach. He just happened to be the first guy up after he was out. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Get us to 100 subscribers by next week. Let's go.